Hello, Resilience Builders. This is Ana-Christina. So happy to be with you. So today we're talking about really the origin of tools of hope and the resilience builders and how we get those simple resilience tools real fast. You know, I know that the journey began way before, but really the critical moment for me was escaping. It was knowing that I'd felt like I'd been in a prison for years and years and years. It was walking away from being disdained and disrespected and discouraged, so discouraged. Feeling like I'm a captive and a prisoner and not knowing how to get out. More than stuck. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know if you've ever been there, but more than stuck, absolutely. It's a devastating place to be because you feel like you're living a dying life. And it's when I escaped with my 3 little boys from a tiny little island, a tiny little village in the middle of the Bering Sea in Alaska, tiny Alaskan island. We escaped with the clothing on our backs and no luggage. But the bottom line is I've been pushed around, I've been dragged, I've been thrown down, I've been beaten, I've been headbutted, I've been strangled to where your neck is pressed against the wall and your feet can't hardly touch. It was dark. And that was from the man that promised to love and cherish until death do you part, right? But if I had stayed, death probably would have come a lot quicker to me. That's for sure. So we have, you know, this situation where I don't teach about domestic violence, and that's part of my journey. And it also doesn't have to be what defines me. But as one of my coaches and mentors says, you know, your mess can become your message. People always ask me, they're like, how did you get into this? I had a fighter pilot ask me, a Navy fighter pilot asked me at the end of one of my presentations. I went and trained for 2 days in Navy Jacksonville. And at the end of the 2 days, he'd stayed for the full training. He says, I don't normally stay for these kind of trainings. And he said, how did you get into this? Your background's construction management. You were a victim, you are a survivor, but how did you get into this? And I said, yeah, it's just an interesting story, isn't it? But for me, the call came, I know the day that call came for me to change some things up in my life. And it was the day that my friend and neighbor and the mother of the girl that pretty much grew up in our house, you know, I took her hiking for the first time. I took her skiing for the first time. We went camping. You know, she was with us all the time. It's me and my 3 little boys. But my friend and neighbor and the mother of this little girl got shot and killed by her husband 4 houses away one day. And I know exactly what day it was. And that's when the heart call came to me. And that's when I got to meet first responders up close that day. I was the only non-professional in the situation for 48 hours until their family could fly in. What was left of their family could fly in. And I don't know what happened. To this day, I don't know what happened, but it sparked something for me for first responders. I realized, you know, we call them, we dial 911, and yet when I speak to a lot of first responders on a one-on-one basis, you're dying on the vine. You take care of everybody else, but who takes care of you? Really, that's the question. And so that day, something was sparked in my heart. Something was sparked in my heart. And we get to define ourselves instead of allowing the circumstances to define us. We get to become. We get to uncover and discover who we were built to be, who we were designed to be. Each one of us unique, and each one of you is unique. And I love this opportunity to be able to work with female first responders and create this gathering of people who understands each other. And it may be, you know, different disciplines, different agencies, you know, whether it's 911 dispatch, whether it's law enforcement, fire, EMS, victim advocates, corrections, right? But corrections is on that kind of last kind of final chapter, right, of the responders. So it's just like this huge, it's this huge range of people, and yet it's a male-dominated environment, definitely a male-dominated environment. So we get to gather. You don't have to do this alone. The bottom line is that my friend's death led to a birth in me. And it led me to a place where I know that I can make a difference. I know that I was built to make a difference. And because you're here, you know that you were built to make a difference. You know that you were built to make a difference. And it's time to get yourself the tools. What I realized after years and years and years and years of struggle is that, number one, we don't need to air our dirty laundry. Counseling can be amazing, and counseling can open a can of worms. I don't know if you've ever had that situation where you go and you open up all this crap that's inside and you leave and things are almost worse because now you've opened the can of worms and now it's all over the place, depending on the professional that you're working with. And I don't do counseling. I've been a client for counseling, but I don't do counseling. That just doesn't, that's not my thing. I wasn't built for that. When you get a terrific, gifted counselor that can help you move through the garbage, that's awesome. But you don't need to open it up. You don't need to strew it around. Let's get the tools, the resilience tools, not self-care, you know, roll your eyes like more self-care. It's not just about self-care. It's about truly building that step-by-step process to be able to become resilient, no matter what life throws at you, no matter how life crushes you, to become resilient and move in and press in and go through, move through. And the way that I found was so helpful to me, and I wish that I'd had it back then when I was struggling, is the idea of getting the instant reset. And then learning how to simply rebuild, a simple rebuild. And finding the opportunity for unexpected refreshment. It's about the reset, the rebuild, and the refreshment. That's what keeps us resilient. That's what keeps us resilient. That's what keeps us flexible. That's what gives us the fuel to continue to do what we were built to do. And you were built to make a difference. This is Ana-Christina, and I'll see you in the next video.